January 25th, 2025. The last time a player called Super Simon was seen on this Minecraft server. Witnesses say his behavior was drastically different. From open and talkative, it changed to secretive and serious. His friends are confused. He's barely talking in chat and hasn't been responding on any other social media. The day before, he told his friends that he might be not the only person playing on his account, which would sound like a joke if a kid called Simon didn't actually disappear in the town of Hartford, Connecticut. The newspaper reported that a 13-year-old Simon disappeared from his house on the night of January 25th, strangely, along with his computer. Later that night, Simon's account logged on this Minecraft server. Previously the same day, Simon changed his password. A few hours later, he told his friends that a person pretended to be the server admin messaged him, asking for his password for security reasons. Simon doesn't fall for the scam. But why did the scammer message him on this day? Was it a coincidence? When I heard about this, I knew I had to investigate. I asked the server admin to give me the world download, but they refused, which, to be honest, is quite fair really, I can't say I would. But anyway, I've already played here for a bit. Players were actually kind enough to give me some stuff, so that'll make it easier for us, I guess. So where I'm headed right now is supposedly the district where Simon and his friends lived. A pretty nice place, I'd say. It's okay, which house is which then? Jeremy's house and Simon's house. There it is. So how do you get in this thing? Oh, there's the entrance. Okay. So I don't think anyone would appreciate me walking around here, let alone if I start breaking stuff. But I've come prepared. So I've saved this entire area, and I think it's time to check what's going on around here. I'd like to see the chests, barrels, shulker boxes, bookshelves, really anything that can hold items in it. So I guess the easiest way to find all of the hidden stuff would be to just start removing blocks. So I guess I'll just do that. Oh, by the way, none of this stuff actually has any items in it, so we'll have to go back to the server to actually check all of the things. So what I'm seeing so far is that this is, I guess, the main area with all of the main storage. There's this like hidden barrel. So there's these barrels in the bookshelves and this weird dropper. And I'm gonna have to check every single one of those. I'm pretty sure this chest you couldn't even open, so I'll have to check that too. Yeah, and the furnaces and the smokers and whatever. Upon a closer examination, I've only found this book, which is just some sort of diary. And then in these barrels there's another book which just contains a bunch of coordinates, but I have to check those too. And there's one that's not labeled at all. Like these were labeled like spawners or farms, and this is just not labeled to travel there too. And this buried treasure map which doesn't even work. Like, it just made a map for me. Don't know what that's about. So what do we actually have here? The second book contains sets of coordinates apparently to the local farms. Looks like Simon really likes storing his thoughts and just information using the in-game book. But one set of coordinates wasn't labeled, and it's also quite far away compared to the others. The ones that were labeled did in fact lead to the files, nothing unusual at the first glance. But the one that wasn't labeled led to nothing, a big empty river in between two mountains. The further examination in the world copy didn't reveal anything too, no hidden secrets around, nothing. So this is all really weird and brings up a lot of questions, but it doesn't really lead us anywhere. So I think the only thing that we can do, and what I hate to do, is come back to the diary. Because I think one of the latest entries could lead us somewhere. Now, I'm not going to show most of it, some of this is really some personal stuff. I mean, the fact that I am reading this right now is quite creepy, really. But these are the only pieces of evidence that we can find, so we'll have to work with that. Now, the main takeaway from that diary is that Simon struggled with bullying and all he ever wanted was just a lovely house on the top of a mountain with a hanging bridge. The last entry though was quite different from the others. It mentioned Simon trying out an experiment. I'm gonna write down my exact codes tonight and see if they change when I come back tomorrow. Simon wrote the first set of coordinates, but he didn't write anything else. Did he forget to check, or did he notice the difference in the codes, freaked out and immediately went to change his password without even writing anything in the book? What if someone found the book and erased the codes? Now, this was weird, but another entry might be even more interesting. Changed the way my floor looks. I like it better with the stripped logs. While doing it, I found a hidden staircase underneath my floor. Asked my friends about it. They said I'm schizo. Has to be one of their stupid pranks. So I went to check and I actually found a hidden staircase. It was blocked off with cobblestone, but it actually led somewhere. It was a spawner room with a broken spawner and 2 chests and a lava pool nearby. I had to check what those chests contained. So I came back to the server, but it was nothing. Just regular spawner loot. But this hidden staircase was the only thing leading to this room. I mean, there was a cave nearby, but I don't think it was explored. So this means this place wasn't found by anyone other than the person who made that staircase. And if we go back in the diary, pranks? So his friends were doing pranks on him? In previous entries there are mentions of items missing from his chests, and he tells his friends about it, but they deny it. I mean, what kind of prank doesn't end with the reveal of the joke? Now, I tried to connect the dots, but days of thinking didn't lead me anywhere. The questions remained unanswered. But I couldn't stop thinking, why is there a spawner room with a broken spawner and 2 chests that were not even looted? Well, if you've played on Anarchy servers before, you will know that these chests are usually used for hiding items from other players. But this only makes sense if the players are using cheats, which are not allowed on this server. So why? So this was when I jumped back to glance over the facts we have once again. I checked the chests and... oh my god, a piece of coal renamed to a set of coordinates. So I rushed back to the server, ran to the coordinates, but I didn't have anything on me, so I was quickly overrun by mobs. So I just made a world copy. So I went to the exact coordinates and it should be this block I'm standing on. So I tried digging into the wall to see if there's a hidden base, and there in fact was. But apart from a few torches, a broken anvil and something that resembled a table, there was nothing. There was a small hole underneath a piece of cobblestone, but nothing inside. But there's got to be something wrong with this place. Why is there a hidden base in the middle of nowhere with nothing in it? The coordinates to which were found in a spawner room underneath Simon's house, but Simon didn't even know anything about it. So I had to check this place on the server. So I went back and the place looked, well, exactly the same, but I decided to mine into the cobblestone and I picked up a bunch of items. But their names were truly weird and kind of creepy. A piece of netherwort renamed to Demon Root 400/G. Glowstone dust renamed to Golden Hit 75/G, and countless others. Now, what does this even mean? These are the most random names and they also have numbers on them? What is this, some sort of Minecraft black market? And to make things worse, it looked like someone purposely tried to hide this, dumped in this hole and blocked it off with cobblestone. So this was when I realized, items were not saved in the world copy. There was something that we could never find in the copies, so did we miss anything else? And when we made that copy of Simon's house? But anyway, I also picked up some size and item frames, and as I'm thinking, I noticed a book lying on the floor. I rushed to pick it up, but it's just too late. It despawns in front of my eyes. The last piece of evidence that we had. So okay, it's time to back off a little. Things are starting to get real creepy. I debated telling the server hosts about this, but what are they gonna think? A guy that randomly asked for a world download is now showing them some weird items with weird names and a book that disappeared? Things have just gone out of hand. But luckily, I don't have to message anyone. I get a DM from the server owner. Realizing that Simon was actually kidnapped in real life, they finally give me the world download and temporarily shut down the server. So we have already explored most of the things by ourselves, but having the world can give us some additional clues. Manipulating some files, we can log on as any player, see where they left the game, what was in their inventory and their ender chests. So I did just that. Loading in, we can see someone left the game in some random location. Coincidentally or not, he was actually quite close to that hidden base. He didn't have anything unusual on him, although his hotbar was weirdly organized. His first slot was empty, although he did have a sword in his inventory. His ender chest also didn't show anything suspicious. In addition to this, I tried tracking every other player and I actually found something interesting. A player that was standing inside the hidden base. The only things he had were 2 signs. He had no XP, nothing in his ender chest, and no achievements whatsoever. Was this empty account an actual person, or maybe an alt account or an AFK bot? If so, what was it doing inside of this hidden base? But wait, there's something we haven't looked at yet. The game stats. Now this is where things start to get interesting. If you look at the stats, it becomes clear that this player barely even played. Most of the stats were 0, they only ever walked or sprinted around 500 blocks. That would realistically only be enough to get yourself from spawn to this base. And the playtime of around 1 hour is also unimpressive. I doubt this account was used to say AFK, so who is this? Luckily for us, there might be a way to find out. Logs. Browsing through the logs, I found out that the server stored the IP addresses of the people who joined. This meant that if we could find a match between 2 IP addresses, that would likely mean that it's the same person. So I didn't really find a match, but does it mean that it's a unique player? I'm not sure, but I don't think it's relevant after another discovery I made. Sometimes Simon joined the server during the night, but his IP was different from what he usually had. Remember Simon talking about the fact that he might be not the only person playing on his account? Well, it seems like it's true. And this other player was only ever online during the night, only when Simon was. And strangely enough, they never used the chat or messaged each other to communicate. They would just join at roughly the same time and then leave after a few minutes. Although they did use the chat, but only once, and it dates all the way back to October 14th, 2024, when Simon posted the coordinates to this hidden base in chat. And it was also the first time this player joined the server, so I guess when he got to that hidden base, they must have used the signs to communicate. Now this has given us some leads, but the truth still feels far. What were those weird renamed items and numbers? What was the person on Simon's account trying to tell with them? Is this some sort of secret code? But if so, what could these people be possibly exchanging on a server they didn't even play? And what was in that book that disappeared? Oh, if only there was a way to go back in time to get it. Wait, there is. So I requested a backup of the server, but they said the one that they had is not really that fresh. But we don't really have a choice, do we? And from what we know, this hidden base existed since at least October of 2024, so the date shouldn't even be a problem. And it indeed wasn't. So this is the backup world from November, from Simon's perspective, and what I'm about to show you is something that you gotta see. Okay, so it definitely has much less stuff. Everything around here is, well, quite the same, really. Okay, the terrain here looks exactly the same, and... oh my god. So after what we've just seen, I can finally present to you the final explanation as to what happened on the night of Simon's disappearance. These items the person on Simon's account was handling were codenames for drugs. The book in the chest called names clarified which codename refers to which drug. The numbers on the items were prices, per gram, per pound, per ounce. The items in the barrel in Simon's house were his actual belongings. The unlabeled set of coordinates was the perfect location for a house Simon always wanted to build. A house on a mountain, with a hanging bridge over a river. The buried treasure map was probably just nothing, it probably just broke after the server changed its version. But Simon wasn't the only one playing on his account. For at least a few months, another person from a different IP address who hacked Simon would join the server during the night to go back to the hidden base and supposedly coordinate drug deals. If we go back to the spawner room on the backup world, we can see the contents of the chest were different. There was a book inside. It contained 2 numbers. They couldn't be Minecraft coordinates, they are too far away. And how about now? Those are the coordinates to a real life location in Hartford. It's not much, just some rail trucks, but potentially a drug stash? The contents of the chest never mattered, it was the book that he wanted to hide. The last person to log onto Simon's account was this hacker who kidnapped Simon because he started to suspect something and stole his PC to get onto the server for the final time after Simon changed his password to get rid of the evidence. The kidnapper knew at least something about Minecraft, that's why he went to the spawn room and burned the book in the lava pool. But he didn't know enough to make sure to wait until the illegal items in his hidden base despawned to properly dispose of them, and that's also why he had a weirdly organized inventory. He joined the server on a Saturday night when some of Simon's friends were online, but he didn't care anymore. All he wanted was to get rid of the evidence. After burning the book below Simon's house, he went back to his hidden base. He broke this chest, all of the item frames, at which point his inventory was full. He went to break the other chest, but he didn't pick up the book. He threw all of the items in a hole, blocked it up with cobblestone before walking away from the base and leaving the game for good. Great plan! But he forgot about a piece of coal he'd left. Now what's messed up is that Simon mentioned items missing from his chest that he blamed on his friends, while it is most likely the kidnapper who stole them, for renaming and using his fucked up drug icons. The hidden staircase beneath his base that he also thought was just a friend's joke was also the kidnapper. So he not only jeopardized Simon's relationship with his friends and even his mental health, made him feel paranoid and finally question if he's really the only one playing on his account. I mean, if you don't count up the items you had before and after you went to bed and all of your friends deny it and don't know what you're talking about, you have to admit that's kind of creepy. And then the moment Simon changed his password and the hacker lost access to his account, the hacker resorts to using manipulation and lies, impersonating the server admin to get Simon's password. And when this doesn't work, Simon gets kidnapped and his computer gets stolen for the last access to get rid of the evidence. Where Simon is and how he's doing, that's up to the police to find out. But could they ever make the connection between him and the hacker or the real life coordinates without the evidence we got from a blog game? I guess we'll never know. It's just a game, bruh. Hey, my name is Bill and this was my first video. Currently I have close to 0 subscribers, so if you like this video, please consider subscribing, leaving a like or commenting. This would really boost my channel and help me make better and bigger videos in the future. Oh, and I promise I am not planning on disappointing you. But for now, good night, sleep tight, and thanks for watching.